Hey scholars, this video is to help you with your Monday, April 27th assignment. It's the Silk Road cultural impacts. We're going to be looking at the Silk Road and the different cultures of the medieval times this week. Also be aware this is the first week of quarter 4, so make sure you work really hard this week and start the quarter strong. So let's look at the Silk Road. It says, scholars, earlier in this year we talked about how trade impacts the economies of civilizations. Trade also impacts the cultures of nearby civilizations as well. Merchants meet with one another and share stories or ideas that sometimes lead to changes in cultures. We looked at this in the spread of Buddhism. When merchants met with one another, they spread the ideas of Buddhism, and then Buddhism spread to other parts of the world. Your job is to open the graphic organizer where it says My Work, read the preview of the assignment, and then use the websites to collect 3 pieces of evidence related to the cultural impacts of the Silk Road. Then you must explain the importance of each impact. So let's open that up right now. April 27th, Silk Road cultural impacts. Scholars, not long ago we previewed what the Silk Road was and the impacts it had on the economies of civilizations nearby to it. We are going to review the economic impacts of the Silk Road, but take it further and analyze how it impacted the culture of nearby civilizations as well. So you might be asking right now, what is culture? Culture is a mix of values, beliefs, behaviors, objects that reflect the way of life of a particular group of people. Culture can include religion, language, art, architecture, music, dance, food, rituals, and ideas or inventions. Obviously, trade along the Silk Road impacted culture as it spread ideas as merchants met with one another and talked. This spread of ideas is actually a vocabulary word you'll learn in social studies called cultural diffusion. It's when civilizations share their cultures with one another and they share their ideas to bring into their own culture. So what is your job? Use the websites below to complete the graphic organizer about 3 cultural impacts of the Silk Road. You must explain why each impact was important. You can use any of the websites below. Try to use 2 different websites in total. If you don't, it's not a big deal. So you have 4 websites to choose from, and you are filling out this graphic organizer. About 3 cultural impacts of the Silk Road and the importance of them. What I have done is I've collected 3 economic impacts of the Silk Road, and I'm going to explain the importance of each of those for a model. So one economic impact of the Silk Road was silk and many other goods were exchanged between people from across the world. So if I was going to give an importance to that, I would write, this was important because it allowed civilizations to get goods they needed to grow and survive. Another economic impact of the Silk Road. Knowledge about silk production was very valuable. Why was that important? This was important because it attracted many merchants to China to get silk since they knew how to make it. I know that's in the way right now. But this was important because it attracted many merchants to China to get silk since they knew how to make it. Well, that's actually not very clear since, who is they? Since only the Chinese knew how to make it. That's why knowledge about silk production was very valuable. That's why people actually use the Silk Road. So make sure when you are explaining the importance of your cultural impacts, you are being very clear. And then it says, goods that traveled along the ancient Silk Road increased in price at each city along the route to its destination, as new transporters picked up the goods and moved them further from their original destination. So why is that important? This is important because it shows how the Silk Road benefited many people by providing them jobs. It's talking about many transporters moving goods along the way, so that is why this piece of evidence shows an economic impact of the Silk Road that is important. So again, notice how each of these economic impacts is talking about goods or trade or money or something like that. You are not talking about trade or goods or money. You're talking about culture. So again, You're using these 4 websites. You only need to use 2. And you are finding 3 pieces of evidence that shows culture was spread along the Silk Road, and you are explaining the importance of each piece of evidence. If you need any help, make sure you're joining those Google Meets at 10:30, or you're emailing me or Mr. Woods to set up a outside, like a different time for a Google Meet. All right. Again, make sure when you finish this assignment, you press turn in. Otherwise, I will not get the notification that you are done. Good luck, guys.